Hey everybody, Tekking here, and today we're going to be talking about something different, something non-anime related, although inspired by. We're going to be talking about Samurai Jack, and I'm pretty sure we're all aware at this point that the trailer for Season 5 has been put out, and I am so happy that that went viral. Like, that was at the top of my Facebook feed for a while now. It's garnered millions of hits. I don't even think the thing's been out for 24 hours yet, and I am pumped that it is. I'm so glad that so many people remember this show and want to see the story completed and are with this journey till the end. So I figured, why not look at this trailer? It's only about 1:20 long, and let me put my critical eye to it. My analytical anime mind will, of course, decipher all the mysteries in this trailer. I would play it for you here and just do a play-by-play, but you know. Yeah. So let's just go through the basic shit right away. The stuff that's in the trailer that, you know, like Phil Lamar voices Jack. He kind of has a narrative throughout the whole thing, and he talks about. So, first off, the story takes place 50 years in the future. Now, this information was posted, like, a while ago. This was, like, one of the first pieces of information that was ever dropped about Season 5. It's going to take place 50 years in the future. And my first concern about that is, okay, well, Jack's going to be like a withered old man. Now, I'm sure he's going to be a badass old man, but I was thinking how that was going to go about, you know, because Jack was only in his, like, early, mid-20s in the beginning of the story, so he would be at least in his 70s by this time. But no, they got around that by the simple fact that, I guess, as a after effect of Aku's power when he flung him into the future, where his evil is law, that he doesn't age. So he like grows a beard and he could still grow his hair out and everything, and he looks like fucking wild, but he's still the same age. Now, even though he doesn't physically age and he's still, you know, capable of doing all the crazy shit he's always been capable of, his mind still does. It does still wear on him that he's still in the future, and I think that's like one of the new tones about this part of the story. It's going to be a lot darker and a lot more fucking melancholy, simply for the fact that Jack never made it back home. Remember back in the original story, there was a few times where it was like ambiguous whether or not Jack was going to get out. There was a few times where it was like, oh, there's a time portal that I gotta get to. I remember the most notable one was there was an episode where the Jack learns how to jump good. You know, he gets taught by like the tree people how to jump really high, and at the end of that episode, Aku has like the time portal, and it's kind of like, ha ha ha, you can't reach it, and then Jack jumps straight for it, and it looks like he's gonna hit it, and then that's where the episode ends. So it was kind of like messing around with that concept a few times in the original story. It was taken a little bit more lighthearted. It did air, you know, for an audience that's intended to be much younger at that time. But we're not going to have any of that here. We're not going to have any of that teasing or anything like that. No filler episodes or anything like that. It's only going to be 10 episodes, so it's sort of a mini-series, but goddamn is it going to be intense. So, yeah, Jack never found a way to get back to the past at all, and he was stuck in the future. And we see him now as a much more darker Jack than we've seen before. He's actually a lot more similar to Aku in some ways. And I think he's really lost the path of the samurai along the way, in more ways than one. He no longer wears the top knot, which was always iconic of his character. He always had his hair in the top knot. That's like one of the first things he always did, you know, whether his hair got, you know, broken or like, you know, the braid got broken and his hair would flow out. He would always try to put it back up. Whenever, you know, even like in the episode where he broke one of his sandals, you know, he was really pissed off about that, because like that's like the only semblance of like who he is and where he comes from is the outfit that he wears, which is why he always wears this outfit, you know. He doesn't have his outfit anymore. He doesn't have his trademarked white, you know, shihakusho or whatever that was called. He doesn't have his katana with him. That's a big one. I was looking all through this trailer trying to see the katana, seeing if it was slipped in somewhere. He uses knives, he uses spears, he uses fucking guns and a freaking blaster cannon at one point. There was one scene where I thought he was using one because it had the same sound effect as his sword when he swung it, but it looks like just a piece of rock or crystal, or maybe it looks like one of the like he's fighting these giant bug things, so maybe it's like a ripped off portion of one of their fangs or their claws or something like that he's using as a weapon, but we don't actually get to see his katana. When we see him fighting against this like I don't know, Aku harem death squad that, he sends after Jack. Jack is wearing the full body fucking samurai armor that we saw in, like, the silhouette in the trailer. So that's something indicative of samurai, but beyond that, he doesn't really have anything that really harkens back to those old times. And he does use a sword, and it's seen very briefly. He gets ready to pull out the sword, and then, like, the harem squad hits beats the shit out of him, and he drops it. And I was looking at it there. It's obviously not a katana. It's shaped completely different. Looks more like sort of like an old-fashioned longsword or something. The diamond shape is kind of throwing me off. I thought it was the Scotsman's sword at first when I saw it, but then after comparing the two, I'm not seeing any similarities there. It's a little bit more similar. It looks more like that than a katana, but I don't think it's the Scotsman's sword. Let's talk about the Scotsman really quick, because it was confirmed that he would reappear in Season 5, and he does make an appearance in this trailer. But how he appears is interesting. He doesn't actually appear as himself. There's this fiery demon character or something that appears before Jack. Now, this could be an actual place where Jack goes, or this could just be in his mind. Throughout the, at the beginning of the trailer, it was shown that, the mental strife is really wearing down Jack, because he's starting to see, like, past images of himself where he's like, you've lost your path or something like that, or you can't handle this anymore. And then you see this image, this fiery demon creature, appears out of nowhere and says to Jack, like, you've lost your purpose. I can't do a Scottish accent, despite the fact that I'm Scottish technically, but yeah, that is the voice. That's the Scotsman right now there. So whether it be like an image, like a memory that Jack has, the Scotsman died at some point, and then this is like his ghost or his tortured demon soul appearing in front of him, because maybe Aku took him and is like, trapped him in fucking purgatory or whatever, and that's him appearing before him and telling him, you've lost your purpose. You need to figure out a reason to fight again. At another point in the trailer, Jack's like, there's no way back, It's very obvious he's tried. He's tried to hold on to his old samurai ways for years and years and years, and at some point, something happened where he just fucking broke. And I want to know what that was. What made Jack kind of forsake the path he was on? What occurred? Or was it just the passage of time in general? But I like to think it was one particular event. I like to think there was one event that happened, because there was a few times during Samurai Jack where Jack was sort of like, kind of happy, kind of okay, it's not like, the entire world wasn't completely corrupted by Aku. There was some places that he could go where people were somewhat free and having fun, like the Tree People episode, and so there was a few times where he could be like just kind of taken aback in in nature, and just kind of like, okay, this is, I'm still on my journey, I'm still trying to go, but at least there's a place like this. But that's clearly not the situation anymore. Something went down. Maybe all of Jack's friends that he made in the future world, died, like the Scotsman, or maybe here's an idea. All of like Jack's allies that he had over his adventures decided to help him out, try to like get back home, and maybe they launched some kind of full frontal assault on Aku, like it was some big thing, like it's now or never, and they just got fucking decimated. And Jack lost all of his allies, barely managed to escape with his life. Maybe he lost his sword. Maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he got lost somewhere. I'm sure he'll be reunited with it at some point, but he lost it, and then he decided, there's no way home. There's nothing I can do. We tried everything, and Aku is evil, is just too powerful. Let's talk about Aku. Aku was, his voice was not heard throughout the entire trailer. I think they're mostly going to keep that a surprise. Remember, Mako unfortunately passed away, so, he cannot reprise his role. But they got somebody that the showrunner said that, nobody can replace Mako, but they got somebody that was pretty damn close. So that's pretty cool. We don't actually get to see Aku really at all in the form that we're most aware of. The closest we get is we see like an image of a ghostly demon samurai in the distance. That would probably be Aku. Jack says that his evil has spread to past, present, and future. He's in control of all things. So it really does seem like Jack has just given up in defeating Aku, but Aku has not given up in defeating Jack. We see the harem squad at one point. They're being trained by this character who I guess could be Aku. Aku, because Aku does have shape-shifting powers. We've seen Aku transform into women before to kind of fool Jack. You know, he can change his voice, change his physical appearance. We don't know if this is actually Aku or not, or this is just a worshiper of him or one of the high-ranking members in his army or whatever. But she gives instructions to this squad to go and kill Jack, and then, you know, they go out to try to take him out, and, you know, Jack probably takes them out in this fucking intense battle. Jack uses guns now, so it kind of sucks that he's not using the katana, but he's using fucking guns. He's pulling out fucking pistols now. It's no longer a story about a man trapped. You know, it's still about a man not in his original time period, but he's been in this time period longer than in his original one. So he's picked up on shit now. He knows how shit works. He can fire a gun. He can probably do some mechanical shit. There was at Comic-Con, there was a depiction, a drawing of him riding on a motorcycle. So he probably has some mechanical knowledge, at least on the fundamental level now. It's no longer about, like, I don't know where I am. This is such a strange place. I don't know what these weird things are. You know, he's got this now. He understands the world he's in, so he can survive, but it seems like he's just given up on fighting Aku. It's just like he's just trying to maybe, you know, not die is his new objective here. But that might be, for all we know, that might just be the first episode or two where we get this kind of melancholy Jack that's just kind of given up on the world. Maybe that episode will explore the past, what happened in the gap between the series, and then at the end of the first or second episode, we'll have a fucking iconic scene where Jack puts his hair up in the top knot again, picks up his katana, reunited with it, puts on the Shihakusho or whatever, and then goes to try to, back to his original goal. That maybe it's not possible to defeat Aku now, or you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe they're going to go with a whole nother cycle with it. You know, of course, the overall goal is gotta get back to the past. But Jack's statement that Aku's evil spreads through all three, you know, past, present, and future, maybe there's something else he has to do. Maybe it's not as simple as to just go back to the past to defeat Aku there when he hasn't taken over the world. Maybe there's something else he has to do. Remember, Aku, at the beginning of the story, was sealed in a tree. He wasn't actually defeated, and it was like some deal where it was like, you know, the evil is contained, and then a solar eclipse occurs, and then he was freed. You know, it wasn't like some asshole like opened up Pandora's box and freed Aku. It was just a natural thing that just occurred. So maybe there's something that Jack needs to do to purge Aku's evil for good. Or maybe he can't. Maybe he can't purge it for good. Maybe it's something that just always exists. But there's some way he could seal him again, to revert the world back to the way it was. We still see there's some resistance. He doesn't control everything yet. It's not like everyone's a brainless zombie controlled by Aku. But it does seem like his evil influence has spread further. Jack doesn't have any allies, as we've seen, and he's kind of forsaken his original aim. The last thing I gotta mention, of course, is that the fact that this is going to be airing on Adult Swim, of course, means that there's going to be more violence. More violence is always good. There is very clearly a lot more blood in this, or blood at all. Jack no longer is probably going to defeat just weird alien creatures and robots. He's probably going to actually have to kill a human. As was stated, one of the episodes is going to have him deal with killing another human being. Along with that, we see him stabbed at one point, blood running down, so it's more like that. But they also keep the tone of the original story in terms of like, the way it was set up, like the split screens, like the characters will start talking and go widescreen, narrow in on their eyes. Of course, the cell shading and animation is the same as it was back then. It just, hyped up to, improved, throughout the years. There's been improvements, but it's not like it's a CG thing or anything like that. They're not incorporating anything like that. It's the original kind of animation as well. Oh, there was one more thing I want. Oh yeah, and you know how at certain points in the story, you had moments where like there were these large like onomatopoeia like sounds behind Jack, like like he would jump up in the air and shout, and like would appear behind him and stuff like that. Kind of that's more similar to like comic books kind of things, but that is included here as well. We see a scene where that is as well as included. So I mean, you really can't knock this anyway, because you have a lot of the original crew coming back here. Gending Tartsovsky, I'm probably butchering your name, dude. I'm sorry. I'm Russian, too. That sucks. My dad's side is Scottish. My mom's side is Russian, and I can't pronounce these words right. So that's really fucking shitty. But he's back, you know, as well as Phil Lamar voicing Jack himself. And probably the same voices, a lot of the same voices are returning as well. So the crew is the same. They understand the mood and the tone of Samurai Jack better than anyone, obviously. So I am pumped for this story. I want to see this end. And I think 10 episodes is good enough to do it. You're not trying to make this a bigger thing than it really is. You're not going to try to add in a bunch of episodes. This goal of this mini-series, which is really what should it be called, this mini-series, that he was even announced on the Adult Swim trailer, like a limited series event or something like that. This is not rebooting the whole franchise. This isn't doing anything like that. This is simply ending a story fucking 13 years after the original. 2004 is when the Samurai Jack was canceled. And I'm glad at least back then, if there was anything, if they didn't end it in some half-assed way. It wasn't like, all right, the show is going to be canceled, so, oh shit, we have to come up with some way for Jack to get to that past and defeat a coup. You know, I was kind of pissed, obviously, for years, because I didn't think it was going to come back, that the series ended basically on a filler episode. The last episode was Jack and the Baby. That was just a cute episode, I guess. It was kind of funny seeing Jack in kind of a fatherly role, but at the end of the day, I mean, it was simply just a filler episode. But now we can pick up with 50 years after that, and we can see where the story is going. Well, anyway, I thank you guys for watching. Go and check out the trailer if you haven't, and even if you have, watch it again. It's fucking amazing. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Gotta get back to the past. Okay, that was lame. I'm sorry for the cringe. Have a good night, guys. Like, subscribe, all that shit. Signing out.